What do you think is going through Lola's mind at the end of this chapter? How does she feel about Cayetano Tolosa? And how does he feel about her? It's going to be interesting to see how their professional relationship develops. But right now, let's go back to the beginning of the chapter. Lola is in the bathroom having the following thoughts.
Mental strength was considered essential in her line of business. She didn't want to be stigmatized.
Let's talk about mental health at work and the words associated with it. Meltdown, panic attack, nervous breakdown. These are similar ways of expressing the same thing, the inability to control ourselves in a situation of stress or discomfort. A panic attack tends to be a severe but brief experience, a sudden period of anxiety in which your heart beats fast, you have trouble breathing, and you feel as if something very bad is going to happen. A nervous breakdown, or more informally, a meltdown, is more long-term and probably follows a gradual period of deterioration. It is considered to be a form of mental illness, usually without any physical cause. People who suffer from mental illnesses, such as panic attacks and nervous breakdowns, are often stigmatized. So what is a stigma? Well, this is a strong feeling of disapproval. So if something is stigmatized, it is considered to be a mark of disgrace in modern society. And often people don't talk about their mental illnesses in the way that they talk about their physical illnesses because of this stigma. So let me tell you a true story about mental illness. It is the story of Antonio Horta Osorio. Antonio was a charming, handsome, and quite brilliant banker. At the age of 34, he became the head of Banco Santander's Portuguese operation and a member of the management committee of Banco Santander. Many people believed that he could eventually be the CEO of the whole bank. But there was one thing that stood in his way, and her name was Ana Botín, the daughter of the man who created the bank. And so, when Antonio was offered the position of CEO at Lloyds Bank, one of the UK's oldest and most prestigious financial institutions, he took it. The year was 2011, the height of the financial crisis. In the first 8 months as CEO, he worked intensely and tirelessly to help rescue Lloyds from a very difficult financial situation. The company's shareholders, employees, and even the British government had confidence that he could rescue the bank. And then, one day, without any warning, Antonio Horta Osorio didn't come to the office. He just disappeared. Nobody knew where he was or what he was doing. One day passed, and then the next, and the next, and still no sign of the CEO. And then the bank announced that he had checked into a mental health clinic for 2 months of medical leave. You see, he hadn't slept for 5 days straight due to the stress of his job, and he had become deeply depressed, and eventually he suffered a nervous breakdown. The financial community was in shock. This surely meant the early end to a brilliant career. After all, mental illness was stigmatized, particularly in the macho world of international finance. But the financial community underestimated Antonio Horta Osorio. After 2 months' recuperation, and with the ongoing help of a psychiatrist, he returned to the leadership role at Lloyd's. And over the next few years, he saved the company from bankruptcy, and he returned it to profitability. He also became a high-profile campaigner for mental health awareness, speaking openly and honestly about his own experiences. He introduced mental health programs at Lloyd's, which acted as a model for other banks and other companies to do the same thing. And in 2020, after he assumed dual nationality, he was knighted by the Queen of England, Sir Antonio Horta Osorio, the highest honor that can be given to a British citizen. He had turned the most negative thing in his life into the most positive. Unfortunately, there is still a long way to go before the stigma of mental illness is completely removed from the business world and actually the world in general. And that is why, in this particular chapter, Lola is eager to hide her past from her new colleagues. Okay, now let's move on. Let's discuss some common expressions. We have 3 of them today, and here's the first one.
Lola's father had once warned her to be suspicious of the first person who wanted to be your friend when you started a new job, moved to a new neighborhood, or joined a new team. He believed that they always had a hidden agenda.
What is a hidden agenda? Well, this is a situation where someone secretly tries to achieve a particular goal while they appear to be doing something else. Do you agree with Lola's father's point of view? Be careful with people who want to be your best friend when you move into a new situation, because he believes that they often have a hidden agenda. When Marina and I bought our first house in southwest London back in 2004, we were really excited to start our new life in our new community. And the day we moved in, there was a knock at the door. And it was a smiling woman, one of our neighbors. And she had brought us a little welcoming gift. And we were thrilled. So we invited her in for a cup of coffee, and we sat down and we had a nice long chat. And she asked us a lot of questions about ourselves. Little did we know at the time that she was the local gossip. And everything we said to her was then repeated to all of our new neighbors. She had a hidden agenda. It appeared like she wanted to welcome us to the community, when in fact, she just wanted to satisfy her own curiosity. Now in our story, Lola suspects that Cayetano Tolosa may have a hidden agenda when he invites her out for a cup of coffee. Do you agree? Okay, here's another common expression. Listen to this one.
He had never worked in the cybersecurity sector, and she had never worked in a startup environment. So they had something in common. They were both fish out of water.
If you feel like a fish out of water, you do not feel comfortable or relaxed because you are in an unusual or unfamiliar situation. Do you feel like a fish out of water when you have to speak English in front of a group of international people? Well, let me tell you something. You shouldn't. If you are a non-native speaker and you can understand this podcast, then you can handle any situation in English. And here's the thing. 80% of the people who you do business with in English are non-native speakers, just like you. It's the native speakers that are the problem. They should feel like the fish out of water, not you. Okay, here's our third and final expression.
He was either living beyond his means or he was independently wealthy.
To live beyond your means. It simply means to spend more money than you can afford. You are living a lifestyle that is excessive and unsustainable. You are living beyond your means. Now, Cayetano is dressed in designer clothing from head to toe. He's got Balenciaga, he's got Hermes, he's got Karl Lagerfeld. Do you think he's living beyond his means? Okay, the last thing we're going to discuss today is irony. Listen to this again.
So, what brought you to J Block? Lola asked. Cayetano took a sip of his coffee, a drag of his cigarette, and then smiled. The money. It was an ironic comment.
What is irony? How do you define it? It's quite a difficult concept to put into words. Well, there is verbal irony, which is what is being used here. And this is when you say the opposite of what you mean in order to emphasize what you mean. It's easier to see in an example. So when it's raining, you say to your friend, "Lovely weather." When you get fired from your job, you say, "Wonderful." And when a presentation you're watching is really boring, you turn to your colleague and you say, "Fascinating presentation." That is irony, saying the opposite of what you mean to emphasize what you mean. So why do you do this? Why do you say the opposite of what you mean? Well, it's a very powerful way of connecting with your listener. You are speaking in code, and they understand that code. And that means that you're part of the same tribe. It brings you closer together. And that is what Cayetano is doing in this chapter. By making this ironic comment, he's connecting with Lola. He is implying that they are both from the same tribe. Now, understanding and correctly applying irony is beyond C2 level English. It is super advanced. And it's something they don't teach you at language schools, but it's something you need to discover and learn for yourself by reading books, watching TV programs, and going for drinks with your international friends. And with that happy thought in mind, we come to the end of today's class. Remember, if you want to improve your English on a more formal basis, you can sign up for our online business English platform, Club Gratton. It's live, interactive. It's fun classes with me and Marina and a bunch of other smart professional people just like you. And we do go beyond the normal language classes and include elements of cross-cultural communication. For example, when and how do you use irony? So search Club Gratton in Google and you'll find us. And of course, we hope you can join us for the next episode of our podcast. Until then, keep practicing and remember, beware of people with a hidden agenda.